Let me tell you a story about two bike rides by two bike riders. Both set off in the evening through the same English village, both roll down the same quiet roads. They both pass the same hedges, the same houses, the same little turns they usually drive past without thinking about. They stop at the same book exchange to pick up their next read. By the end of all this, they've done the same ride, but one of them has had a much better time than the other. And surprisingly, it isn't the one on the better bike. Maybe you've been here. It's the time of year when the weather is getting nice, and you'd like to get outside, maybe go for a bike ride. But you haven't touched your bike in years, and it's buried under a pile of stuff in the shed. It's going to take a lot of work just to uncover the bike, let alone see what's wrong with it and get it working again. Maybe a fresh new bike will give you the motivation you need to get back on the road. But one look at the prices and you start to wonder when bikes got so expensive. Even an entry-level, comfortable hybrid starts at 800 quid. You have a feeling mountain bikes are also expensive, and you're right. Starter mountain bikes begin at over 500 quid and quickly get to over 1,000. You really want to get riding, but this is madness. But I've got good news for you. You already have the best bike in the world, and you can get it fit to ride. Hey everyone, welcome back to Village Bike Kitchen. Today the goal is to motivate you to grab that bike you've got stuffed in your shed or in the back garden that's a little messed up. Maybe the stem is pointing the wrong way, maybe the tires are flat, the shifters don't work, the brakes are dodgy. It's an intimidating task, but you want to get out there and ride. So I'm here to show you that anyone can do it in their own back garden with some basic household supplies, and it doesn't have to be that scary. Now this won't exactly be a how-to video. For that, I recommend you check out Park Tool or someone like that on YouTube who can show you how to do it step by step. But I hope you see me today going through the steps and realize that if I can do it, you can do it too. So sit back, relax, and I'm going to show you 3 steps to getting back on the road. The first thing you need to do is make sure your bike is safe to ride. Will it roll? Will it stop? And will it fall apart while doing any of that? For a bike that has been in the shed or garden for a while, your best bet is to start with the tires. Make sure they aren't cracked or rotted. Unfortunately for me they were, so I had to put some new ones on. If your tires are fine, I can almost guarantee you they'll be flat, so they'll need some air. Once you have the bike ready to roll, it's important to make sure it will stop. Give the brakes a good squeeze and see if the pad hits the rims. Roll the bike and hit the brakes. Does it stop? The pads themselves could also be worn down, so you want to check those out to make sure they're worn evenly and that the rubber hasn't become too brittle. If your bike will roll and you're fairly confident that it'll stop, you want to make sure it won't shake apart on your first ride. Check all the torque on all the bolts. It's important to get the right torque on each bolt, so check your bike specs, or at least turn the wrench until it leaves an impression on your hand. Make sure your wheels are installed in the dropouts correctly and that the stem is aligned with the front tire. Don't guess with any of this stuff that I've gone over. If it feels wrong, just take it to a shop or a trusted friend. Once you're confident that you'll survive a light ride, move on to making the bike feel good enough. The key isn't to get the bike perfect, but just to a point where it's nice enough to ride. Washing the bike will go a long way. You don't need any special bike cleaning chemicals, just find a rag and some dish soap. Removing grease and grime will make the bike look nice and help all the parts work smoothly. You know the brakes work by this point, but they might not feel quite right. On this bike, I adjusted the distance the pads were from the rims. They still aren't the best, but they're much snappier and more responsive. A quick spin of the wheels shows that the brakes aren't rubbing on the rims. One of the simplest and most effective things you can do to smooth your bike up is to lube all your cables. You'll really be surprised how much better shifting and braking feel once the cables can glide nicely through their housing. It's hard to demonstrate on video, but these brakes feel great now. Adjusting a drivetrain could be its own video. There are so many variables that affect why your bike won't shift. If you are having problems and you have never worked on a bike before, there are a few things you can try on your own before you have to seek help. First, deep clean the drivetrain. There are so many moving parts on here that must work together. Grime and dirt can quickly cause issues. Once the gunk is removed, you can lube the chain and the moving parts of your derailleurs and see if that helps. If not, there are some simple things you can try to affect, like cable tension and the alignment of the derailleur. Sadly, if none of this works, it's time to seek help. It does delay you from getting on the road, but we've all had to do it at one point or the other. In fact, my first build for this channel never would have been completed without help from a professional. Once the bike is safe and rideable, it's time to worry about comfort and aesthetics. You can adjust all the touch points. This bike is a little small for me, so I had to raise the saddle. The handlebar was uncomfortable, but a quick adjustment of the brake lever position made a huge difference for my hands. Another easy change to make is to install your own grips. How the bike looks matters too, so now is a good time to take care of little things like this frayed cable. You don't need a whole new cable if it's frayed after the anchor point. Just twist it back into shape. A bottle cage is another easy addition. These bolts work just fine, but they don't look too cared for. I only needed a few minutes with some sandpaper to get them looking almost new. Well, that's about as good as it gets for a quick garden tune-up. Let's go have a look at the bike and take it for a quick ride. So let's go back to our two bike riders from the beginning of the video. One of them bought the brand new bike, and one of them decided to take a crack at the bike they already had. And honestly, the rider on the new bike is probably having a more comfortable ride. It's hard to compete with modern components and modern technology. New bikes are lighter, smoother, more capable, and usually a lot more convenient. That rider is probably feeling pretty fresh too. They did not have to drag anything out of the shed. They did not have to pump up the old tires, check the old brakes, wipe down an old chain. They just went to the shop, picked up the new bike, and rode away. So given all that, why would anyone choose the crusty garden shed bike? And how could it possibly be more fun? For me, it comes down to satisfaction. There's something really good about taking something old and making it better. Not perfect, just better than it was before. And we did that with this bike. It feels good to ride something you put a bit of effort into. It feels good to learn a few small skills and realize the bike wasn't as intimidating as you thought it was. And it feels really good to find out that you do not need to be a bike mechanic or own a bike stand or have a full workshop to make bikes useful again. That opens up all sorts of possibilities. But I think the biggest thing is this. These two riders basically did the same ride, same village, same book exchange, same lake, same quiet evening. But this GT cost about 40 quid and maybe 2 hours of work. The new bike could easily cost 800, 900, or 1000. And there is just no way the new bike rider had over 900 quids worth more fun than the garden shed bike rider. Because for this kind of ride, the biggest upgrade was not going from an old bike to a new bike, it was going from no ride to ride. And that is why your old garden shed bike might be the best bike in the world. Not because it's better than a new bike, but because it got you started again. And maybe next time, it won't take so long for you to drag that old bike out of the shed again.